Jai-Ho Park stood at the control panel of the Olympus colony's atmospheric processor, watching the numbers change on his screen. His fingers moved quickly over the controls as he made small adjustments. Today was special. It would be the first time they would create rain inside the Mars colony's main biodome during autumn. The year was 2157, and humans had been living on Mars for nearly 30 years. Jai-Ho had been here for 5 of those years, working as a terraforming engineer. His job was to make the inside of the biodome feel like Earth. System ready for water vapor release, the computer announced in its calm voice. Jai-Ho smiled and pressed the green button. He looked up through the clear ceiling of his control room. The biodome stretched high above him, a massive bubble of strong glass and metal that protected them from the harsh Martian environment. Inside, trees with red and orange leaves lined the streets, making it look just like autumn on Earth. The first drops of rain began to fall. They made soft pattering sounds as they hit the leaves and walkways. Jai-Ho watched as people stopped to look up at the sky, many smiling at the familiar feeling of rain on their faces. His tablet buzzed with a message from his wife. "Hindul, the rain is perfect. Come see how the garden looks." Jai-Ho checked that all systems were stable, then walked to the hydroponic gardens where Hindul worked. The gardens were huge glass rooms filled with plants growing in special water solutions instead of soil. Hindul was a botanist who made sure they could grow earth plants on Mars. He found her checking on rows of vegetables that would be used for their upcoming Thanksgiving dinner. The rain made soft sounds on the glass roof above them. "Look at how well the carrots are growing," Hindul said, pointing to the orange vegetables hanging in their special growing tubes. "And the potatoes will be ready just in time." Their son Dae-sung ran into the garden, his school bag bouncing on his back. "Dad, Mom, did you make the rain?" His eyes were bright with excitement. At 12 years old, he had been born on Mars and had only seen real Earth rain in videos. "Your father did," Hindul said proudly, just in time for grandmother Sunni's visit. Dae-sung's face lit up even more. "When is she arriving?" 2 days, Jai-Ho answered. "The transport ship from Earth will dock on Thursday." The family stood together, watching the rain fall outside the garden's glass walls. They had much to do before Sunmi arrived. This would be their first Thanksgiving celebration on Mars, and they wanted to make it special. Jai-Ho's tablet beeped again. This time it was Ta-1, the colony administrator. "Weather system is working perfectly," the message read. "The other families are very happy. This will make our Thanksgiving feel just like home." Home. Jai-Ho looked at his wife and son, then at the rain falling softly outside. Mars was their home now, even if they had to create their own rain and grow their own vegetables. They were making something new here, a place where Korean and Canadian traditions could mix with their new Martian life. The rain was making everything look clean and fresh. The autumn leaves on the trees seemed brighter, and the lights of the colony glowed warmly through the falling water. In 2 days, Sunmi would arrive with her recipes and stories from Earth. They would have their feast under this same gentle rain, sharing food and traditions with the other families in the colony. Jai-Ho put his arm around Hindul's shoulders as they watched Dae-sung try to catch raindrops through the garden's open door. The soft sound of the rain, the smell of growing plants, and the warmth of his family beside him. It all felt right. They were ready to make new memories here on Mars, one raindrop at a time. The transport ship from Earth landed smoothly in the Olympus colony's docking bay. Sunmi Lee stood at the ship's window, looking at the red Martian landscape beyond the colony's protective walls. At 75 years old, she never thought she would visit another planet. But here she was. Hindul waited anxiously by the arrival gate with Dae-sung. They watched as passengers began walking through the doors, each carrying their permitted 2 bags of personal items. Sunmi appeared, wearing her favorite blue hanbok, modified slightly for space travel. Her gray hair was neatly tied back, and her eyes sparkled when she saw her family. "Grandmother." Dae-sung ran forward to hug her. Sun Lee held him tight, noticing how much he had grown since their last video call. "My dear boy," she said softly, "you look more like your father every day." She turned to Newell and embraced her. "The journey was long, but worth it to see you all." They helped Sun Mai with her bags and took her to their home in the residential section of the colony. Their apartment was designed to be efficient but comfortable, with large windows looking out at the biodome's carefully maintained environment. The artificial rain that Jai-ho had created still fell gently outside. Sun Li unpacked her bags carefully. She had brought special ingredients from Earth: dried mushrooms, Korean red pepper powder, and maple syrup from Canada. But her most precious cargo was a thick book of handwritten recipes, its pages yellow with age. "This book," she told Dae-sung as she showed it to him, "contains recipes from both our Korean ancestors and your Canadian great-grandmother. Now we will add some Martian touches to them." In the kitchen, Sun Mai examined the vegetables from Newell's hydroponic garden. "These are grown in water?" she asked, holding up a perfectly formed carrot. "Yes," Newell explained. "We can control everything about their growth: the nutrients, the water, the light. They taste just like Earth vegetables." Sun Li nodded approvingly. "Then we can make proper kimchi, and also your great-grandmother's pumpkin pie, a perfect blend for our Thanksgiving." Jai-ho returned home from his work at the atmospheric processors to find his kitchen transformed. Sun Mai had already begun teaching Dae-sung how to prepare vegetables for kimchi. The counter was covered with bowls of prepared ingredients, and the air was filled with familiar spicy scents. "Smell this," Sun Mai said to Dae-sung, holding up a jar of maple syrup. "This comes from trees on Earth. We will use it in our sweet potato dish, a special Korean-Canadian recipe I created years ago." Through the kitchen window, they could see other families in the colony preparing for the celebration. Some carried dishes to share, while others worked in the community gardens. The rain had stopped, but the air remained fresh and clean. "Tomorrow," Sun Li announced, "we will teach everyone how to make songpyeon, but we will fill some with maple syrup instead of the traditional filling. On Mars, we can make new traditions." That evening, as they sat together drinking tea, Sun Li shared stories of past celebrations on Earth. She told Dae-sung about harvests in Korea and Thanksgiving feasts in Canada. The boy listened eagerly, trying to imagine the places and people in her stories. "But now," Sun Li said, looking out at the Martian sunset through the biodome, "we make our own stories here. Your children will tell tales of Thanksgiving on Mars, of rain that their grandfather created, and vegetables their mother grew in water instead of soil." Newell squeezed her grandmother's hand, grateful for her understanding and acceptance of their new life. Outside, the artificial lights of the colony began to glow as night fell on Mars, creating a warm and cozy atmosphere that felt like home, no matter which planet they were on. The morning of Thanksgiving preparation began early in the Park family's apartment. Newell woke before the colony's artificial dawn to check on her special vegetables. She walked through the quiet halls of the hydroponic gardens, checking each plant carefully. The carrots, potatoes, and pumpkins she had grown were ready for harvest. They looked perfect. In another part of the colony, Jai-ho faced a problem. The atmospheric processors were showing strange readings. The cozy rain he had created was starting to fall too heavily. He worked quickly at his control panel, trying to fix the issue before anyone noticed. "System malfunction detected," the computer announced. "Weather pattern unstable." Jai-ho wiped sweat from his forehead. This was not good. The Thanksgiving celebration needed perfect weather. He called Ta-won for help. Back at the apartment, Sun Mai and Dae-sung worked together in the kitchen. Sun Li showed her grandson how to mix the dough for songpyeon, the special rice cakes they would serve. She had adapted the recipe to use Mars-grown rice, and it worked surprisingly well. "Remember," Sun Li said to Dae-sung, "the shape must be like a half-moon. Each fold means good luck." She guided his small hands as he shaped the dough. The kitchen smelled wonderful. Sunni's special maple-glazed sweet potatoes cooked in the oven. The kimchi they had made yesterday sat in jars on the counter. Dae-sung had never seen so much food being prepared at once. Other colony members began bringing dishes to share. Mrs. Lee from the medical bay brought her famous green bean casserole. Dr. Kim from the science lab arrived with his special cranberry sauce, made from berries grown in his experimental garden. Hanul returned from the hydroponic gardens with her harvest. She carried baskets full of vegetables that looked just like ones from Earth. Sunmei examined each one with pride. "These will make perfect dishes," Sunmei said. "Even better than what we grew in our garden on Earth." But outside, the rain was getting stronger. The sound on the biodome's roof grew louder. People began to notice that something was wrong. Jaiho's tablet buzzed with messages from concerned colonists. He and Taiwan worked harder to fix the weather system. They had to get it right before the celebration. "Try reducing the humidity levels," Taiwan suggested. Jaiho adjusted the controls carefully. Slowly, the rain began to return to its gentle pattern. Hanul called Jaiho on his tablet. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "We need good weather for the celebration." "It will be fine," Jaiho promised. "Just a small problem. It's fixed now." The afternoon continued with more cooking and preparation. Sunmei taught Dae-sung how to make her special Korean-Canadian fusion dishes. She showed him how to blend traditional Korean spices with Canadian maple syrup. The results were delicious. "This is how traditions grow," Sunmei explained. "We take the old and the new, and we make something special, just like this colony on Mars." By evening, the apartment was filled with wonderful smells. The rain outside had returned to its perfect gentle pattern. Jaiho came home tired but happy that he had fixed the weather system. The family stood together in their kitchen, surrounded by the dishes they had prepared. Through their window, they could see other families walking to the colony's common area, carrying their own dishes to share. "Tomorrow," Sunmei said with a smile, "we will have the best Thanksgiving celebration Mars has ever seen." Dae-sung looked at all the food they had made, at the gentle rain outside, and at his family working together. He felt proud to be part of this special celebration that brought together the best of Earth and Mars. The colony's common area looked beautiful on Thanksgiving morning. Taiwan had arranged the tables in a large circle, with autumn decorations made from Mars-grown plants. The gentle rain continued to fall outside the windows, creating a peaceful atmosphere inside. People began arriving with their dishes for the celebration. Each family brought food that told a story of their heritage mixed with their new life on Mars. The Park family arrived early, carrying their carefully prepared dishes. Sunmei walked proudly beside them, wearing her finest hanbok. "Everything looks wonderful," Taiwan said, as he helped them arrange their dishes on the table. He pointed to a special display screen on the wall. "We can use this to show pictures from Earth while we eat, to remind us of home." More colonists arrived. Dr. Kim brought his family, carrying traditional Korean barbecue, made with specially grown meat from the colony's food labs. The Martinez family arrived with their famous Spanish rice, adapted to use Mars-grown ingredients. The Anderson family brought Canadian butter tarts, made with Sunni's maple syrup. Dae-sung watched in amazement as the tables filled with food. He had never seen so many different dishes in one place. The air filled with wonderful smells, and the sound of happy conversations in many languages. "This is what community means," Sunmei told her grandson. "People sharing their food and traditions, making something new together." Hanul helped arrange the dishes while Jaiho checked the weather controls one last time. The rain created a soft background sound that made everyone feel cozy and peaceful. Through the biodome's clear panels, they could see the red Martian landscape beyond, making their warm gathering feel even more special. Children from the colony ran around the tables, excited by all the food and celebration. Dae-sung joined his friends, proudly showing them the sonpyeon he had helped make. The children compared their family's dishes, eager to taste everything. "Before we eat," Taiwan announced, standing at the head of the tables, "we have a surprise." He pressed a button, and the display screen came to life. Suddenly, they saw faces of family members back on Earth, joining their celebration through a special video link. Everyone gasped with joy. The time delay between planets meant they couldn't have a real conversation, but seeing their loved ones' recorded messages made the celebration even more meaningful. Dae-sung waved excitedly when his cousins from Earth appeared on the screen. The colony's doctors, engineers, scientists, and workers all gathered together, forgetting their different jobs and backgrounds. Today, they were simply one community sharing a special meal. Sun-mi looked around with tears in her eyes, happy to see how her family's traditions had helped bring everyone together. "Time to eat," Ta-won announced. The colonists began filling their plates with food from every table. They tried new dishes and shared stories about their traditions. Sun-mi's Korean-Canadian fusion dishes were especially popular, with everyone asking for her recipes. As they ate, the rain continued its gentle pattern, and the lights in the biodome created a warm glow. Through the windows, they could see the sun setting on Mars, painting the sky in beautiful shades of pink and orange. Jae-ho watched his family enjoying the celebration. He saw how the weather system he helped create made everyone feel more at home. Hae-nul smiled at him from across the table, proud of their contribution to this special day. During the celebration, Jae-ho's tablet suddenly began beeping with urgent alerts. He stepped away from the tables to check the message. The colony's weather monitoring system was reporting a large dust storm approaching from the Martian plains. Ta-won noticed Jae-ho's concerned expression and walked over to him. Together, they looked at the data on the tablet. The storm was moving faster than usual, bringing strong winds and thick red dust toward the colony. "Should we tell everyone?" Ta-won asked quietly. Jae-ho looked around at the happy gathering. "Not yet. The biodome is strong. Let me check the protective systems first." In the common area, Sun-mi was sharing stories about past Thanksgivings on Earth. She told the children about harvests in Korea and autumn festivals in Canada. The gentle rain Jae-ho had created continued to fall inside the biodome, making everyone feel safe and comfortable. But outside, the Martian wind was getting stronger. Through the biodome's clear panels, they could see the dusty sky turning darker. Hae-nul noticed the change and watched her husband working at a control panel near the wall. She knew something was wrong. "Grandmother," Dae-sung said, pointing at the windows, "why is the sky getting so red?" Sun-mi looked outside and understood what was happening. She had read about Martian dust storms before her journey. "Sometimes," she explained calmly, "Mars wants to remind us that we are guests on this planet, but we are safe inside." Jae-ho worked quickly at the control panel, making sure all the biodome's protective shields were active. The storm would test their systems, but he had prepared for this. He adjusted the indoor weather controls to maintain the peaceful atmosphere inside. The first strong winds hit the biodome. The structure was strong, but they could hear the storm outside. Some of the younger children looked worried, but Sun-mi gathered them around her. "Let me tell you about the storms I remember from my childhood in Korea," she said, her voice warm and steady. "We would all gather inside, just like this, and tell stories while the wind blew outside. It made our time together even more special." Hae-nul brought hot tea for everyone, and the colony's families moved their chairs closer together. The contrast between the storm outside and the warmth inside made their gathering feel more meaningful. "The biodome is secure," Jae-ho announced to the group. "We can continue our celebration. The storm will pass." Ta-won suggested they share stories about their first days on Mars. One by one, the colonists talked about their journeys from Earth and their experiences building a new home on the red planet. The children listened with wide eyes, especially when their parents described seeing Mars for the first time. Sun-mi watched her family with pride. This was what Thanksgiving was truly about, being grateful for shelter, for community, and for each other. The storm outside made these blessings even clearer. As the dust storm grew stronger, the colony's lights seemed to glow warmer. The rain inside the biodome continued its gentle pattern, creating a peaceful background sound that helped calm any worries about the storm. Our ancestors found ways to celebrate even in difficult times. Sunmi reminded everyone, "Here on Mars, we continue that tradition. We make our own light in the storm." The colonists nodded in agreement. They had built more than just a shelter on Mars. They had built a true community. As the storm raged outside, they remained safe and warm together, sharing food, stories, and traditions old and new. The dust storm continued to blow outside, but inside the biodome, the colony gathered for the most important part of their Thanksgiving celebration. Taiwan stood up and asked everyone to form a large circle with their chairs. The shared warmth of the community made the storm seem far away. "It is time for our tradition of giving thanks," Taiwan announced. "Each person will share something they are grateful for this year." The circle started with Dr. Kim, who expressed gratitude for the success of his experimental garden. His wife thanked the community for helping their children adjust to life on Mars. Their young daughter said she was thankful for the new friends she had made in the colony. When it was Dae-sung's turn, he looked at his grandmother and smiled. "I am thankful that Grandmother Sunmi came all the way from Earth to be with us," he said. "And I am thankful for her teaching me about our family's traditions." Sunmi wiped a tear from her eye and spoke next. "I am thankful to see our family's traditions living on, even here on Mars. And I am grateful that our culture can grow and change while keeping its heart." Jai-ho expressed his gratitude for the strong community they had built and for the biodome that protected them from the storm. As he spoke, the wind howled outside, making his words even more meaningful. Then it was Hae-Newell's turn. She stood up slowly, holding Jai-ho's hand. "I have something special to be thankful for," she said, her voice trembling slightly with excitement. "Our family will be growing soon. We are expecting a new baby." The announcement filled the room with joy. Sunmi clasped her hands together in delight, while Dae-sung's eyes grew wide with the news that he would be a big brother. The entire colony broke into applause and congratulations. "A new child for our Mars community," Taiwan said warmly. "This is truly something to celebrate." Jai-ho couldn't stop smiling. He had known about the baby for a week, but had kept the secret for this special moment. Hae-Newell had chosen the perfect time to share their happiness. The Martinez family brought out a special dessert they had prepared, a cake decorated with both Earth and Mars designs. They cut it into pieces for everyone to share while the storm continued to rage outside. "This baby will be the newest citizen of two worlds," Sunmi said proudly. "Born on Mars but carrying the traditions of Earth in their heart." The colonists shared more stories as they enjoyed their dessert. They talked about their hopes for the future and their plans to make the colony an even better home for the next generation. The children asked questions about what it would be like to have a new baby on Mars. Hae-Newell touched her stomach gently and looked around at her community. The artificial rain inside the biodome had created small rainbows where it caught the light. Despite the storm outside, or perhaps because of it, the gathering felt especially warm and meaningful. "Our baby will have many families," Hae-Newell said softly to Jai-ho. "Our Korean family, our Canadian family, and our Mars family." The evening continued with more sharing of thanks. Each person's words added to the feeling of gratitude and hope that filled the room. Even the youngest children sensed that this was a special moment in their colony's history, a time when their community grew stronger and their future grew brighter. As evening approached in the Olympus colony, the dust storm began to lose its strength. Inside the biodome, the community decided to create some new traditions for their Mars Thanksgiving celebration. The artificial rain had created a perfect cozy atmosphere that made everyone feel comfortable and creative. Taiwan suggested they start with music. "On Mars, we should have our own special songs," he said. He asked if anyone would like to perform for the group. Dae-sung raised his hand. He had been practicing a traditional Korean song that Sunmi had taught him. His grandmother smiled encouragingly as he stood up in front of everyone. The boy's clear voice filled the common area as he sang the harvest song. Soon Mai watched with pride as the other colonists listened carefully, many hearing these ancient words for the first time. When Dae Sung finished, everyone applauded warmly. Now, Soon Mai said, standing up, let us teach everyone how to make songpyeon in the Mars way. She invited all the children to gather around a large table where she had set up the ingredients for the rice cakes. The children watched as Soon Mai demonstrated how to shape the dough into half moons. She showed them how to add the special maple syrup filling they had created for their Mars version of the traditional treat. See how the shape looks like Phobos, one of Mars' moons. Hae Newell pointed out to the children. They all agreed that this made their Mars songpyeon even more special. While the children worked with Soon Mai, the adults began another new tradition. They wrote messages about their hopes for the colony's future on small cards made from recycled materials from the hydroponics bay. These would be saved and read at next year's celebration. Jai-ho checked the weather systems one last time. The artificial rain was creating gentle patterns on the biodome's windows, mixing with the last traces of the dust storm outside. He had managed to maintain the perfect indoor atmosphere despite the challenging conditions. In Korea, Soon Mai told everyone as they enjoyed the freshly made songpyeon, we say that if you make the rice cakes beautifully, you will meet a good person in your future. On Mars, perhaps beautiful songpyeon will bring good luck to our colony. The children had soon created their own game, pretending to be the Mars moons orbiting around each other while holding their rice cakes. The adults laughed and joined in, adding their own touches to the game. Dr. Kim's wife suggested they take a colony photo every Thanksgiving to document how their community grew. Everyone gathered together, with Soon Mai in her hanbok at the center, surrounded by families from many different backgrounds, all now part of the Mars community. As they posed for the picture, Hae Newell placed a hand on her stomach, thinking about how next year's photo would include their new baby. The thought made her smile even more brightly. The evening continued with more new traditions being created. Someone started a dance that mixed Korean harvest movements with Canadian square dancing steps. Soon everyone was trying to learn it, laughing at their mistakes and enjoying the unique blend of cultures. This is perfect, Soon Mai said to Hae Newell as they watched the dancing. We honor our past while creating something new. This is how traditions should grow. The artificial rain continued its gentle pattern, creating a peaceful backdrop to their celebration. Through the biodome's windows, they could see the Martian sky beginning to clear, revealing stars that looked both familiar and different from those seen on Earth. The Martian dust storm had completely passed, leaving the evening sky unusually clear. Ji-ho adjusted the biodome's transparency settings so everyone could see the stars. The artificial rain slowed to a gentle mist before stopping entirely, leaving everything fresh and clean. Taiwan invited everyone to the observation deck for the final part of their Thanksgiving celebration. The colony members walked up together, their steps quiet with tired contentment after the day's festivities. The observation deck offered a panoramic view of the Martian landscape. Both of Mars' moons, Phobos and Deimos, were visible in the night sky. Soon Mai gasped at the beautiful sight. Even after a week on Mars, the view still amazed her. Look there, Jai-ho said to Dae Sung, pointing to a bright point of light in the sky. That's Earth, our other home. The children pressed their faces against the thick windows, trying to spot their families' countries on the distant blue planet. Though Earth was only a bright star from this distance, everyone felt connected to it in that moment. Hae Newell stood with her hand resting gently on her stomach, thinking about the child who would be born on Mars. Our baby will see this view every day, she said softly to Jai-ho. Earth will always be a star in their sky. Soon Mai gathered everyone in a circle on the observation deck. She had brought a special tea from Earth, made from flowers grown in her garden in Korea. The colonists passed cups around, sharing this final tradition of their celebration. When I first learned my granddaughter was moving to Mars, Soon Mai said as everyone sipped their tea, I thought she was going too far from home. But now I understand. Home is not just a place. It is the people we love and the traditions we share. The colony's children had fallen asleep on comfortable cushions, tired from the day's excitement. Their parents wrapped them in warm blankets while the adults continued to stargaze and talk quietly. Next year, Taiwan said, we will have even more to celebrate. Our colony is growing. We are creating something special here. As if to confirm his words, the first hints of dawn began to color the Martian sky. The sunrise on Mars was different from Earth, with subtle pinks and oranges painting the red landscape in gentle morning light. Jai-Ho checked his tablet one last time. The biodome systems were running perfectly, ready to create another day of Earth-like weather for the colony. The challenges of the dust storm had shown how strong their home really was. Before I return to Earth, soon Lee announced, I will teach Hae-Newell all the special recipes a mother needs to know. Our family's traditions will continue here on Mars, growing and changing with each generation. Dae-Sung had woken up and moved to stand between his parents. Together, the Park family looked out at the Martian morning. They could see their reflection in the observation window. Soon Mai in her hanbok, Hae-Newell and Ji-Ho holding hands, and Dae-Sung leaning sleepily against his mother. We should do this again, Dae-Sung said through a yawn. Not just wait for Thanksgiving. The adults smiled at his words. They had created more than just a celebration. They had strengthened their community and shown that human traditions could flourish anywhere, even on another planet. As the Martian sun rose higher, the colonists began to head home for some rest. They had work tomorrow, but they would carry the warmth of this celebration with them. Their Thanksgiving had proved that Mars was no longer just a colony. It was truly their home.